there is a skill set that I noticed that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that's like variable timing. So like when somebody is like doing // and you're like plus on block, and it's like, oh, why is this person being able to get out of it with 6p? And it's like, it's because your timing is very telegraphic. Like you are having one timing. Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back, and you already know I'm about to tell you guys right now. Support your boy. Support him, all right? Support your boy. All right, so today's video, we actually had a fighting game talk with Deb. I sat with her, and we just had an idea of like, yo, man, how to improve and strive. What are the things to be consistent? So we had a sat down, and we just talked to it on via Discord, and we just had a breakdown of like, these are the things that you can use and the strategies you can develop to improve in a game like Guilty Gear Strive. So I hope this video helped you guys, but before it helps you, make sure you guys help your boy out and subscribe to the channel, and let me know how you guys feel about this type of video. And how do you feel? Did you feel like this helped you a lot? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's jump into it. It's time to talk to Deb Nito. Hello?
What's up, Kizzie?
Yo, what is good? You see my new persona?
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah.
So we wanna go over like some match discussion stuff, right? Because like I feel like a lot of the time, like especially in Strive, I don't know what it is about Strive. Well, I do know what it is about Strive.
I know what it is.
Yeah. A lot of people don't really think that much about matchups. Like it's very like they play their character, or they like try to force their characters like you know, setups and whatever, regardless of anything else.
Yes.
Not really much like matchup specific stuff, right?
Yes, and I think one of the biggest things that force people to forget about you know, matchups and things like that is you know, these Twitter clips. You see one clip and everyone's like, well, that's how the fighting game is going to always work, or that's every time I get a situation off, I should always opt for this option, or you know, things like that. And what it does is it makes people forget that there's another person on the screen, you know, like playing the character and things like that. And like they forget that, you know, you also have to like, you know, create an opportunity and things like that to get a chance to, you know, do that setup that you've seen on YouTube, or you know, get that situation that you watch somebody else do. You know, like people tend to really forget a lot of those things. And you know, obviously the reward off of it is so high that like, you know, it even forces you to kind of like, oh, if it's so high, you got to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes a tunnel vision issue across the board.
That's kind of like the downside with high damage games, right? Because it's like, you know, you can have this great strategy, but like, I mean, there's still RPS situations. Like if you're in this position as like Kai against Soul, I mean, like like with risk gain, with general high damage, like it forces you to commit an RPS pretty fast, right? Because I mean, like if you don't, then you know, you can die off one hit, like like one single hit.
Yeah, the longer you wait, the worse. Yeah, the worse it gets.
It like promotes it in obviously like very blatant ways. Obviously, as like a layer 1, it's always going to be very powerful, just because again, like some characters are very, very good at just like forcing damage. Like, obviously, Soul, Nago, I guess, especially now too with like Beyblade, right?
Yeah, Ram.
Probably more so Ram. Yeah, Ram.
May actually has TODs in this patch because of that.
It's like really curious. I think the biggest thing like a lot of people are guilty of is like they'll have, let's say a good option for Soul is like Fafnir, right? Like Fafnir, it does like everything he wants, right? Like it's high damage, it like forces you to interact with him in like a way that he favors, right? Like he wants you to kind of play preemptive so he can, you know, try to whip punish or whatever, right? Right. But of course, like in some matchups, specifically longer range, or like maybe like matchups like Nago Ram, it cannot be as effective, right? But a lot of people will just like, you know, like they'll just like force it super hard anyways. Yeah. And then it'll like lose. And then they're like, it's like that, they're like looking like Weebay from like, you know, The Wire. Like, yeah. Yeah, like they're like, how did this happen? Like, right. Like there's no way. There's like no consideration about like range, risk reward, meter situation. Like these are all things that matter significantly about decision making and matchup decisions, right? As a result, like a lot of people end up kind of making their own play style inconsistent, like just because they they focus too much either on damage or like, you know, playing their player one stuff, right?
Right.
Just because the options are, of course, they're strong, right? Like you can have strong options that maybe aren't as useful in, you know, a matchup. It doesn't mean like you have to remove it from the table, but like you have to be thoughtful about how you use it, right?
Right.
Because if you're just linear, then I mean, all that's gonna happen is they're probably gonna like punish you or like smoke you for it every time. Like, if you always go for like, you know, dash Fafnir at a specific range, and Nago's, you know, he's doing his 2S thing, he's working on you 2S, then you're great.
Right.
So of course, like it varies because like against like Kai, I mean, like pretty much Kai's punish is like the equivalent of of like if he gets guard crushed by Fafnir.
Right.
Like it doesn't even really matter. Like,
right.
But against, again, like Nago, Ram, those types of characters probably may, like the risk reward is just inherently usually not in your favor for a variety of reasons. Range, again, like how easy it is to hit out, how good their buns are, like those sort of things.
Right?
You get some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Against as Kai, like.
And then if I stop
like
it, you know, I get something like this.
Yeah. So it's like you can see in this situation against like Kai, even though I was talking about like, oh yeah, this against so and so it could be bad. Clearly, it's very good against Kai.
Right.
Right. But not a lot of people think that he can use it, right? They're just like, oh well.
If it works on Kai, it works on Nago. And if it works on Nago, it works on Faust. And if it works on Faust, it works on Ram.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
like,
and that's where like
they make matchup strategy kind of sound like you know, like combos. Like I got my midweight combos, I got my lightweight combos. It's like lightweight strategy, midweight strategy, heavyweight strategy.
Right.
But it's not good.
Right. And you know, somebody in the chat was like, 2S counter hit stun dipper though, and I'm just like, well, that doesn't equivalent to what Soul did to me, and that's
exactly,
and
like,
that's another issue that we are running into. It's like, yeah, I can also get that, but you're also not looking at the reward that Soul got.
When you look at stuff like this, you can't just think about like oh, if he's right, then that's it, or if I'm right, that's it. It's like you have to look more at like risk reward. What are the outcome of these situations? Like, what's the meter looking like? Because you know, if you have meter, you could convert for more. But I mean, even like depending on your hit, like, is it even worth it? Right?
Yeah.
That's like another thing to think about. So like, let's see. If you block Fafnir, look at how much damage that does.
Yes.
Now hit me with 2S stun dipper. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just blocking Fafnir.
Yeah, that's the same. That's almost the same. Yeah. and technically, you're gonna have more health in the long run. So I mean, is this really a life deficit? I mean, this is pretty even. And
then you have to consider the situation from this, right? So
yeah, you're plus.
Fafnir, a lot of risk, makes you plus.
Yep.
Once you start, and I mean, look, I just
stun dipper.
S5H.
Yeah, stun dipper. I'm like, you know,
even the risking on.
Here we go. You know,
for positioning, like it can be okay, but like you can see in terms of damage, and this isn't even considering on a hit, right? Like, or even counter hit, which is like way worse.
Yes.
If you think too linearly about like either just this wins or this loses, you probably won't be that consistent. This is why the strategy of like thinking around health, meter, the risk reward of a situation, all these things matter so much. You can, even though like, you know, it's a high damage game, a lot of the time like you can still make strategies around like avoiding the high damage situations, right?
Yeah.
Some characters can't always. Like I said, like obviously, like with Kai, it's pretty specific what his big hits are, right?
Yes.
Whereas
this
in the case of
and that, you know.
Yeah. In the case of like Soul, I mean, I counter hit you, I do 50%, right?
Right.
So like, your strategy usually would have to be to compensate by being over respectful, which, you know, in this game,
over respectful gives you opportunities to even, you know. Look at that, you know, and then you get a throw off, and it's like, well, you know, thank you for respecting me.
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot of the, if you've noticed, like especially this patch, a lot of the characters that are really good are characters that can like interact with you once, or, like scramble with you once in neutral, win, and then like it's like end game if they corner you, right? Or like, and they're usually all really good at building risk, right? Like Ram, Mate, Nago, Soul,
Leo,
yeah.
Giovanna, I think Giovanna's up there
Giovanna.
too. Yeah,
I think she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like these are all characters that build risk really well. They do pretty good they do pretty good damage in general, but with Risk complementing them, I mean, Risk can make anyone like TOD you, like with enough, right? So it's like very important to think about that. And that's why, like, if you have like a really weak strategy in terms of like, you know, or like maybe like you just try to RPS, like just run at them, like, you know, just go ham, like, you know, do whatever, then like you're pretty much opening yourself up to be inconsistent against these characters, because again, they only need to like hit you once, corner you, and then this is game, right? Like this position for a lot of characters is like
crucial.
It could be game losing, right? And especially with the wall breaks,
it
snowballs you, right? With offensive bonuses and the defensive bonus and the meter gain, like you can keep snowballing off a wall break like that. And if you have like, if you're playing against a character, like again, these high damage characters, if they interact with you once, usually after a wall break, they probably are going to kill you off of it. So you have like a total of 1 interaction in neutral, 1 interaction in the corner, and then mid-screen, right? Mm-hmm. Usually as a rule of thumb.
There is a skill set that I noticed that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that's like variable timing. You know, like when somebody say like, oh, I have a hard time dealing with like, you know, jumping at a character, and it's like, you know, when I watch the footage, it's like, oh, you have the same timing of jumping, so of course you're going to have a hard time with this specific thing. It's because you're not changing your timing, you're having one timing. So like when somebody is like doing // and you're like plus on block, and it's like, oh, why is this person being able to get out of it with 6p? And it's like, it's because your timing is very telegraphic. Like you are having one timing. And instead of like saying like, oh, it's because the character's button 6p is godlike, it's like, yeah, it is good, but the other thing you also want to think about too is like, my timing is the same. Challenge is like matching my timing. I need to do something about it, rather than saying like, oh, this character 6p is just mad good. That's
like such a common problem, right? Like that's where a lot of people kind of like pick up their own mentality, honestly. Like, you know, like the if they just far ass at you and you 6p, they're like, oh, Kai 6p
broken. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like things like, you know, like somebody's doing this and they keep like getting hit by it, and they're just like, oh man, Kai's done it. Yo, Kai Fireball, man, is like the best in the game. And I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like really? You know, like when I think about it, it makes me think like, yeah, it makes sense, because, you know, people variable timings. No one really talks about that thing of like,
that's a really good point.
Variable for timing. Yeah, people will just run into the door 6 times in a row and be like, man, eventually this door is gonna break down. But then when they like pass out and they wake up and they're like, yo, that door was too strong. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, where, you know what? Maybe the person is just good. You know, maybe the person just knows that you're gonna keep doing this, and it's just like, nah, it's broken.
If you're just doing, again, it's about being linear. If you're linear in any way, any approach, you will make it easier for your opponent, whether it be defending, offense, neutral. You have to have variable timings, decisions, like even varying things like, you know, neutral jump. Like, you know, what if you like neutral jump and, you know, he whiffs 2s or something, right? Or like maybe it makes him be like a bit more preemptive, right?
Right.
You can get like bigger things off it, even just by not committing to something, like just threatening something, right? But,
so like that little opportunity you just opened up, and it's just by not doing anything but just making a bluff. You know, that's a bluff move. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna throw a bluff. Yeah, the bluffs have a little bit of risk, but think of the risk that it has. For them to call out your bluff, is they have to already be committing to you for, or like reading the bluff. You know, like something like that. So like, for them to hit that, it's like they have to go out their way and take a risk. Yeah, so it's again, guys, like I hope this is like, I hope you guys are starting to kind of get the concept of how important it is. It's like variable timing, and a lot of people, I always feel like, you know, it's like, it's very hard. It is hard, but it's only hard when you don't understand it. But once you kind of understand it, it becomes natural. It becomes like second nature to you guys. Like, oh, it's like, oh, I understand and I realize what I've been doing. I need to stop doing that. And you start being more, you start critiquing a lot of your decision making. You know, and like, and trying to have, like, when you do something with reason. Like, for example, like if you doing this, right? And I'd be like, is there any reason why you're just like always doing Beyblade? And you're just like, oh, it's because it's good. there's no like foundation to have a conversation with that, because your mind is like, because it's good, and it's like, well, it's not good to do it all the time. It was like, yeah, but it works. And I'm like, well, you see how like that bar is set so low? It's like that conversation has already ended. But the conversation we're having with variable timing is already 2 hours in. You understand how the bar is like set? The difference between why setting your bar so low is not really healthy is because like you get no end game from like anything. It's just like you're doing it because it's good and that's it.